Alrighty, guys, how we doing tonight? My name is Ryan. I'm glad everybody could come along for the ride. I am so grateful that you guys are here tonight. Welcome to Charlie Foxtrot Radio. Again, my name is Ryan. I am the Charlie Foxtrot. It has been a long week, but we are here on the weekend. We have a very special guest tonight that I want to introduce. He is the one and only Heroes and Legends owner. He is Jayson Maples. Jayson, how you doing tonight, sir?
You know, if I was doing any better, I couldn't possibly stand it.
Hey, that's the best way to be, ain't it?
Amen to that, bro.
So, being your first time on air with me this evening, why don't you let everybody know who is Jayson Maples?
He is the guy on the other end of the podcast right now with you. Just kidding. So Jayson, you know, hey, I just celebrated my 49th birthday during the last show.
Very nice.
I am a dad of 4 boys, 2 cats and a dog, and I run the best daggone wrestling promotion in the Midwest, Heroes and Legends. You can find that at heroesandlegendswrestling.com, Heroes and Legends on Twitter, Heroes and Legends Professional Wrestling on Facebook, and HL Pro Wrestling on Instagram.
Well, you have everything on lock tonight, it seems.
Yeah, man.
Awesome. Wanted to really just kind of pick your brain this evening for the first part of our segment, if you don't mind. A lot of things have been going on in the wrestling industry, both in the indie scene, it seems, as well as WWE, TNA, the up-and-coming AEW. So there's a lot to discuss, if you know what I mean. I think the biggest thing that people want to know is I'm going to tell this little story to set off this question that I have for you. My daughter, who is 8 years old, has never shown an interest in wrestling whatsoever. Never has. My 2 boys will do backflips off the couch onto each other if I gave them the opportunity to. So one of your 2 promotions, I say we're gonna give a shout out to FWF as well here in Warsaw. Took her to her first show, and she has been obsessed with it for about the last 3.5 months. Every night, can we watch wrestling? Can we watch wrestling? When are we going to go see Jayson's next show? It developed that spark, that magic that we can still deliver to children, being a part of the wrestling industry. What was that spark when you were coming up that told you, hey, I want to do this?
You know, oddly enough, professional wrestling was not something that I planned.
Really?
Ever. You know, I grew up here in Indiana, and I always wanted to be a actor or a stand-up comedian.
Really?
And God has blessed me to have done both of those, actually, and I still do both of those. But it wasn't until my, let's say, 1987, which was the end of my junior year in high school, the beginning of my senior year,
okay,
into 88, that I started paying attention to the then WWF, and in particular, Hulk Hogan, who has been my favorite wrestler since I started watching wrestling.
I think he was everybody's favorite wrestler at that point. He just had that charisma with him.
Sure. You know, and it's people who don't even like wrestling know who Hulk Hogan is.
Oh, yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, you know, he's up there in the top for sure. That, you know, that meme you see every once in a while with Mount Rushmore, it's wrestler faces.
Oh, yeah. I've seen that one.
If he's not on everyone's quote unquote Mount Rushmore, I don't know what to tell you. But I realized that then, and it was kind of a hustle, really. I took a notebook and I wrote down numbers 1 through 30 for the Royal Rumble.
Okay.
And charged people in school, I don't know if it was $1 or $2 a poll, and then we'd split the pot, whoever guessed, you know, the right person that was going to win.
Really?
And so I did know back in the late 80s that you could make a buck off of professional wrestling.
So you were ahead of the curve, so to speak.
Right. However, I actually started doing stand-up comedy when I was 17, and I would leave. I lived in Marion, Indiana, and I would come up to Fort Wayne, Indiana, which is now where I call home. And I would visit, I would frequent a bar here in Fort Wayne called Snickers, which at the time was located in behind Pierre's nightclub. And Kevin Ferguson used to let me come in on open mic nights, and then he started featuring me. At 17 years old, I had to sit in the kitchen, wait until my time for my set was go on, and I'd do my deal and then go home because I couldn't stay in the bar.
So 17 at 17, the kitchen was kind of like the daycare for a bar.
Exactly.
Of course.
I couldn't be around the bottles.
Yeah.
And that developed, and I ended up moving out to LA or West Hollywood, and I did my thing, and I started traveling across the country with some different comedy caravans, and that's what I figured was going to be my deal, man. And I would have been happy if that's what I did for the rest of my life, because I absolutely love stand-up. And that took me to Myrtle Beach, South Carolina, which I also had hung my hat there for a little while.
Okay.
My older brother lives down in Myrtle Beach. And I happened to be doing a stand-up gig at a spot down there, and a bunch of students of Ivan Koloff's were there for whatever reason. I mean, maybe they had a show or something. I don't remember exactly now because, we're talking 1993.
Okay.
And so my style of comedy, I would pick on the people in the front row, obviously. And I happened to pick on those guys, ask them what they did for a living. They said professional wrestlers. And I kind of joked around with them and busted their chops about it. And they approached me after the show. And first I thought, because there's like 6 of them, I was like, all right, these guys are going to, bum rush me now. But really, they just wanted to tell me they thought I was funny. And one of the guys gave me his card.
Okay.
And at that time, I was, I'm still 6'2", so I was 6'2", probably about 3 1/4. And they said, you ever want to be a pro wrestler? You've already got the charisma down. Maybe, you give this guy a call. And it was Ivan Koloff. And, it wasn't Ivan there. He gave me Ivan's card.
Right.
And, maybe 2 months went by, and then I ended up moving to Myrtle Beach. And I went ahead and gave him a call and got started in wrestling school. And it was pretty, I guess. So I'll digress a minute. So I started watching wrestling again after I saw those guys at the comedy club. And I thought, I remembered how much I really enjoyed, Hogan and Beefcake and Bundy and the Harts and, Hacksaw and all these guys, Snuka. And I'm like, this is truly magic, and it's a glorified acting gig, and I think it's big money. And, in the early 90s, there was a boom. Professional wrestling was huge. And so I got into the training, and that kind of started it off. And I moved away from comedy and tried to jump both feet into the wrestling business.
Off the second rope or the third rope?
Off the top of the cage, brother.
Off the top of the cage, yeah. Right. Going head first, headstrong. So that kind of developed your passion that you have for it today.
Yeah, because it wasn't there before, but once I got into it and started seeing the inner workings, as a kid, I just knew that I liked Hogan, and, I saw the magic of professional wrestling, but it's much like watching David Copperfield at home. Mm-hmm. You don't know how he cut that woman in half, but it's pretty cool.
Right. And you want to learn.
Yeah. And so, once you're in it and you see it, for some people that might steer you away, and now it just ruined the magic for you. Mm-hmm. But professional wrestling, when I started seeing the inner workings, it made me more interested, right. And that is what I decided I wanted to do. And, now 1993 to, 2019, that's what I've done.
And you have done one hell of a job, sir. I don't think I can say that enough. I've had the the honor to be able to go to a handful of the shows over the last 6, 7, 8 years. And you do not disappoint, I can tell you that much. For anybody listening, Heroes and Legends is, I will say, probably not only the best, one of the best in Indiana, if not the best, probably in the Midwest as well.
Thank you.
So, oh, thank you. We can let's rewind just here just a little bit. We just got off of Heroes and Legends, which was on your birthday.
Sure.
Okay. Yeah, you got to have your Royal Rumble for your birthday as well.
Right.
How it didn't seem like the event area was all the way full. How many people were you able to have at that event?
We were shy of 1,000 people, and unfortunately, it happened. This is what happens. Okay, so if we would have had 3,000 people in there, it would have been, oh man, it was great. We had 3,000 people. We must have done everything right. Blah 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 blah.
Right.
And then what happens sometimes is you don't have as huge of a crowd, and you can always think of something that could have been done differently, or you want to blame something. And
of course,
it was Easter weekend. That could have done it. I mean, so it certainly wasn't as huge as we've had in the past. But from a numbers standpoint and a level of fun, I still think it was highly successful. And, we had a good time. And, something I do, and if you've been to, some of the shows, and for your listeners, if they've been, at the beginning of every show, I thank the fans for coming in, because without them, there wouldn't be us. And something I do at the end of every show is once the final bell rings, I make my way to the exit drawer, and I try to shake hands with as many people as I can and thank them once again. Oh. And this show, the same as every other show, I had nobody leave and tell me that they had a horrible time. So from that aspect, I would also, as if there would have been 3,000 people there, I would say, hey, great show, Jayson. You did everything you could have done, and we had a heck of a show.
Oh, yeah.
And, the only thing, I say this in my personal life, the only person that I want to be better than tomorrow is who I was today. And I try to do that every day. And the same can be said for the wrestling shows. I don't care if we're better than WWE or AEW or whoever. I just want to be a better Heroes and Legends event than the last one. And so that's what our expectations are moving forward to October. And I think, 6 months out, we're already ahead of the curve to token to steal your coin phrase there earlier, ahead of the curve.
Right.
I think we're doing that so far.
Oh, and that's where we want to go to now. October 5th, correct?
That is correct.
October 5th, 2019, Heroes and Legends 13. What are some of the names that we have so far coming in?
We are excited, and I have literally tried to get our headliner guest at every show since about show 7. And every time he's been somewhere else. And luckily this time, we made the phone call, and about 15 minutes later, he came back with an absolutely 100%, and we landed the Icon Sting.
Oh, my goodness. I'll tell you what, when my wife heard that, she's like, we will be buying tickets. We will be front row. We will be getting a meet and greet.
There you go.
Oh, yeah.
And, so he is going to a lot of places. He just shows up as himself. And then there's places where he'll put the face paint on, and he is going to be wearing the face paint.
Oh, very nice.
We haven't exactly decided which face paint. I'm leaning more towards the black and white crow-looking face paint, just because that was my favorite, outside of the Surfer Sting.
Oh, the Surfer Sting was before my time, but I remember seeing the videos.
So the reason I won't do that one is because it would always be a different color, kind of like the Warrior.
Oh, yeah.
And so more than likely it'll be the black and white, crow paint. But because it's, the season of Halloween, I think that's cool that he's got face paint. And then in my mind, I'm thinking, well, who else could we get that does that? And so, of course, we got the Boogeyman, who's going to have his worms. We also have Demolition. Another face paint is our heavyweight champion, Kongo Kong. Mm-hmm. We've got Barry Horowitz, newly crowned Hall of Famer, Brutus the Barber Beefcake. 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 And we've got Mr. Anderson, Kennedy, Ken Anderson, Tracy Smothers, who is our Heroes and Legends legend champion, the Perfect 10 Baby Doll, Tully Blanchard, Bobby Fulton. Just added was J.J. Dillon, and then possibly the most notorious referee in the professional wrestling business, the king of the Montreal Screwjob.
Oh my goodness!
We've got Earl Hebner.
Oh, we have so many questions for him, don't we?
Indeed.
And that's just getting things started. That's not even going to be everybody that you're going to have this fall.
I mean, we're not even a month, post a month from the last show, and these are the names we already have. And speaking of questions for Hebner, there's a little rumor going around that we might have a Q&A panel set up at this event, which we haven't done prior to this.
Really?
That may include Earl Hebner and other people who may have some inside knowledge of the Montreal Screwjob.
Ooh, now you're just teasing us here, sir. Now you're just teasing us.
I'm trying to dangle that carrot, brother.
and I'm going to be biting till October 5th. Tell you what,
there you go.
That would definitely be interesting. The Montreal Screwjob. Let's touch on that for a second. I've been blessed to know you for the last couple of years as an acquaintance and as a fan.
Sure.
You brought up beginning of the week, the Montreal Screwjob and what you're trying to figure out. Do you want to bring the fans kind of up to pace and kind of refresh their memories in case we have some that don't know what the Montreal Screwjob is?
Well, I mean, sure. It's if you're a wrestling fan, you kind of know the deal, and it's no rocket science that scientist that's going to have to figure out what's going on. I mean, professional wrestling is first and foremost sports entertainment. That being said, I miss kayfabe like you just don't even know. However, that's never going to happen again in our lifetime.
Oh, no.
It would be that magical. So, for those that may not be in the know or you've been living under a rock, not the great one, just a regular old rock. So, if you didn't know, there was a time when there was the Monday Night Wars, and Bret Hart was to be leaving WWF at the time and heading to WCW. It's a time-honored tradition. When you go out of one company, you're basically putting somebody over, and you go out on your back. I mean, that's the deal, and that's what the honor should be. But Bret really didn't want to do that,
right?
And he didn't, and he didn't want to lose in Canada, which is why it was up in Montreal.
Of course.
And so my understanding, and I've never spoke to Vince about this. I have spoke to Sean. I have spoke to Bret. I have spoke to Earl. And each one of them give a different story, albeit all pretty much the same. Bret would like you to believe that he knew nothing about what was going to happen at that pay-per-view. Sean would let you believe that he didn't know what was going on. Earl would like you to believe that he knew what was going on, and everyone else did as well. But at the end of the day, Bret was supposed to retain the title in Montreal, and he wanted to hand it over, the following night on Raw. And of course he would want to. He didn't want to lose. He didn't want to put anybody over. He wanted to leave and go to WCW and protect his stock.
Oh, yeah.
It would be for him to leave as a champion. But at the end of the day, Sean put Bret in the sharpshooter, and Earl Hebner called for the bell, even though Bret never tapped out. Bret spit in Vince's face, took his finger and made the big WCW in the air,
Oh, the notorious video footage of the WCW being written in the air.
But you gotta wonder, brother.
Oh, yeah.
If it wasn't a work, the camera would have cut away before you saw that big loogie in Vince's face. The camera would have cut away before you saw Brett finger WCW in the air. And the camera would not have got such a good angle of Brett not tapping out. So I'll always believe it was a work. If it was a shoot, wow. I mean, really, honestly, if it was a work, it will go down in history as one of the greatest, if not the greatest, work on another wrestler. I mean, there's been many works in the business towards the fans, but this one was certainly one for the record books, and I don't think I missed anything there.
Oh no, but with Earl Hebner specifically, the referees at that time, in the era that it was, they were kind of the producers of the match, am I right? They would be the ones that knew how the match was supposed to go from start to finish.
Well, the referee is always the third person in the ring.
Yes.
So Sean, Brett, and Earl would have known if it was a work.
Right.
And obviously Vince and your color commentators, potentially. That may have been the only people that knew. I mean, the rest of the locker room may have been in the dark about it. And I mean, honestly, Brett could have been in the dark about it. You know, if he was steadfast not wanting to do the job, maybe they didn't tell him. You know, I mean, we may never know.
Right, and WWE has been very good about keeping things in the dark, even from the locker room. We learned that when the Hardy Boys came back during WrestleMania.
Well, you were kept in the dark. I knew about it.
Well, okay. The fans were kept in the dark. Okay, people that have the inside probably know, oh, that's what's happening.
Yeah, you know, I mean, when they want to keep something quiet, they keep it quiet.
Oh, yeah.
But, you know, long gone are the days, like I said before, of kayfabe and keeping things really hush, because this daggone internet, you know, all it takes is for one person at the airport to see, you know, the Undertaker or whatever in the same airport that the WWE's in, and now it's leaked to the internet. I just saw Undertaker in Baltimore, and WWE's in Baltimore tonight. That must mean that this, and this. You know what I mean?
Oh yeah, that's normally how it goes.
You can't really keep things hidden anymore.
Oh yeah, especially with Facebook. You know, not just the internet. Facebook. Yeah. I realized doing Uber for as long as I did last summer and carrying into right up to your show, people were going, who's coming in? Who can we try and Uber around town?
All right.
So definitely the word travels very fast.
Another side note for you about the Hardys coming back at Mania would be at that WrestleMania when the fans were walking in. Guess whose new T-shirts were at the souvenir stand?
They had really.
Oh yeah, they had, you know, when the fans were walking in.
Oh,
you know that. I mean, I guess that didn't have to give it away because they sell Stone Cold merch and Rock merch and everything else. You know, and then they got the retro shirts with all the old guys on it, man. But
the Hardys would be unique.
Yeah, for sure.
Oh wow. So, is there anything that I'm going to cut just, you know, big surprises? I got to ask, because everybody's wondering, do you have any big surprises hidden up your sleeve for October the 5th?
Yes.
Can you give us any of those surprises for October the 5th?
Yes.
What surprises, Jayson Maples, do you have for Heroes and Legends 13?
Well, I said I could tell you, but I'm not going to.
Damn it. Oh, you got me. Okay. Give me another carrot.
Can you keep a secret?
I can keep a secret, and so can every person listening.
So can I.
Awesome. Oh, you lead me in with those carrots, sir.
I can tell you, we're not done announcing, you know, cool stuff.
Oh no. No, and I didn't. I just saw something about the main event for 13, that it's now a fatal 4-way. Is that what we're looking at?
Here's the thing, and I was busy doing stuff with my my birthday, and I was busy being inducted into the NWO. Did you catch that?
Oh no, I didn't. I didn't see that. Where'd that come up in the show?
That was backstage. I got an NWO shirt gifted to me.
Oh, very nice.
And I'm now an honorary member of the NWO. Hardy har har, but it's cool. But anyway, I didn't notice that, no matter how much I try to have everything planned out as much as humanly possible,
right,
some things end up above my radar. Okay. And so Congo Kong apparently got on the mic and said something about, a four-way at Heroes and Legends. Well, 13. And so I'm going to let it happen. The champ wants it. The champ has it. And he's going to defend his title against Russ Jones, Anthony Toatelli, and Nick Cutler, who I might add tried to attack me at the beginning of the show.
Yep.
And, in front of my kids and, on my birthday. What a jerk.
Right.
And, Drew Skills came out kind of unexpectedly to make the save, if you will. But, so those four guys, Congo Kong, Russ Jones, Toatelli, and Nick Cutler will be in a four-way for the title. And I couldn't let Kong, get all the surprises on that, so I had to add to the match, and we are going to put him in a steel cage.
Really now?
13.
So you're hearing it today. A fatal four-way in a steel cage.
That is correct. I don't want anybody else. What had happened is Nick Cutler ran down to try to interject himself in the match back at Heroes and Legends 12, and Toatelli came out right after him. They had actually been the final two guys in the Battle Royal at the beginning of the night, and I guess they both felt like they should be in that match, but I don't want anyone else running down, so we're going to have some referees surrounding the ring and some security, and it's those four guys in the ring, and whoever wins it, wins it.
Oh, very nice. Are you going to have traditional steel cage rules?
We are, and we also have a really nice cage, very reminiscent of the old 80s blue ring.
Ooh.
It won't be blue, but it's a nice cage. I think you'll like it.
Go have just a little bit of a throwback here.
Right.
Have just a little bit of a throwback. That is awesome. We are definitely excited. I do have one more thing that I do want to talk to you about.
Okay.
Here, this evening. WWE has been notorious for angles, storylines, not doing storylines over the last couple of years. Just anything that they can come up with. The neck injuries. The notorious neck injuries.
Okay.
You kind of see them, just as a throw, just as tossing out here, we had, Edge, Stone Cold, right. Most recently Paige.
Yep.
It was, and I think it was actually the same neck injury that even Peyton Manning had from the Indianapolis Colts that had him sidelined for so long.
Sure.
A lot of them, do you think that they hold on to him just because of the name that they've created, like Paige, for instance, kind of being in the managerial role now? Do you think they're trying to hold on to him, or do you think they just don't want him to jump ship and go to some other company trying to come up?
I would say 80% the latter.
Okay.
But, I don't know really those inner workings of WWE. I'm still friendly with, the guys in the office there and with some people on the roster. I would be willing to say that, for example, Kurt Angle just signed a new deal. Undertaker just signed a new deal. Paige, I believe, is signing a new deal. A buddy of mine just had her an autograph signing this past weekend, along with people from the movie, the Fighting With My Family movie.
Oh, yeah.
And, he got to talk to Paige quite a bit this past weekend, and he said he felt like they were going to keep her on board. He was hoping they wouldn't for his sake, because then he'd be able to book her out.
Oh, yeah, of course.
But then he was hoping for her sake that they would keep her on, even with the injury, just because, for her livelihood, her family, and whatever, for her to be able to stay on and make the money. But, I feel like, a lot of these guys get these lifetime legend contracts. Mean Gene, for example, who was very close with my family, he had just signed a new deal.
Oh, really?
He pretty much was going to be a lifer anyway, and he was, as it turns out. But he had just signed another multi-year deal. He was so excited about it, and we had some things planned with Gene, and I think WWE not only. Vince is business, but Vince is also a nice guy. I don't care what his character is on television. He's a good dude, man. And he stays loyal to those who are loyal to him, as most employers are.
Of course.
And so, when he keeps Edge on and Christian on, even though they're not really doing anything on television, and when he keeps Mean Gene on, and I guess Edge and Christian had the deal on the network, or still do. I'm not sure, but
right.
He's staying loyal to the guys, and you almost never know when something will pop up that he could use them in some capacity. I think the latter is mostly true. I don't think Vince is in one bit worried about any competition anywhere. Not AEW, not Ring of Honor, not Impact. Vince is the big ticket. However, Cody and the Bucks are making some moves, and we'll see what happens there. But they won't be in competition. They're not directly on the same evening even on television. I believe AEW is doing Tuesday nights, if I'm not mistaken.
That sounds about right. With their new signing, I think it was with I'm getting AEW mixed up with XFL TV signings.
Yeah, I'm not sure, and I meant to catch that XFL stuff, but I missed it. But I believe WWE is still going to be on Monday and from Thursday or Friday for SmackDown, and I think AEW is going to do Tuesday. So, it's not going to, we won't see a Monday Night War again. And if AEW really wanted to buck up against, New York, they would have to be directly across from them on television to try to make that battle work.
Oh, yeah. Just reminiscent to the Monday Night Wars again.
Yeah.
Reminiscent. Well, hey, Jason, we have 30 seconds left before we go into the break. I'm going to give it up to you for anything that you want to.
Okay, make sure you guys go to www.heroesandlegendswrestling.com. Make sure you look up Heroes and Legends Professional Wrestling on Facebook and all our other social media for everything to know about Heroes and Legends 13.
And also, guys, at the end of this show, you will see the link for Heroes and Legends 13 on the screen, so you can go straight to it in case you forget anything that Jason says. Jason, thank you very much for coming on the show this evening. I hope you have a wonderful night.
Thank you, buddy. You too, man.
All right, take care.
Bye-bye.
All right, guys, we will be right back here after the break. And here we go for round number 2. Want to still extend a big thank you to our first segment with Jayson. We didn't get to everything, but you know what? We got to a lot of information that would be very beneficial. Okay, one of the things that I also wanted to talk about tonight is, especially with WWE coming up next, a week from tomorrow, the 19th, we do have the Money in the Bank pay-per-view coming up. Okay, Money in the Bank, we all know what Money in the Bank is. It was coined by the one and only Chris Jericho way back in the day. Okay, I thought it was a good idea, then they pitched it. What happens here is that we have a lot of different matches. Okay, and you guys are going to see a glare on my glasses. I do apologize for that. One of the things, because I'm wearing glasses, is that I don't have a little TV or a little computer monitor. I have a nice big 50-inch TV here, so I can definitely see everything, but you guys will see a little bit of a glare on it. Let's just give a rundown for right now. This isn't in any particular order. This is just going to be the order that seems most logical for what their card is going to be, and you guys know they're always subject to change. People moving in and out, matches, changing orders, anything like that of the sort. So they have the main event being the Universal Championship with Seth Rollins versus AJ Styles. I think that's going to be good just because it's both high flyers. They work at a similar pace with each other. Then we have an interesting one, which I'm still trying to get behind. I've always been behind Kofi Kingston, but in this one, we have the WWE Championship of Kofi Kingston versus Kevin Owens. Kevin Owens coming back, doing the betrayal, if you guys haven't caught everything over the last couple of weeks. The biggest and most interesting thing that I think I have found to date, okay, is we have a dual women's champion. We have the man, the icon, Becky Lynch. She is becoming that. She holds both the Raw and SmackDown Women's Championships. She is going to be defending both of them Sunday the 19th at Money in the Bank. And right now, this list has them back-to-back. Now, I'm trying to figure out how that's going to work. Either they're going to be very quick matches, or they're not going to be back-to-back, because that you can get winded very quickly doing back-to-back matches. Okay? I don't know how. I haven't really kept up on, if Becky Lynch is, if she can do back-to-back matches like that. But we're going to see. She's first going up for the Raw Championship against Lacey Evans. Lacey Evans is such a weird character that it seems like when Carmella used to come out, everybody goes silent. They don't get a reaction with her. She is just one of those types of characters. Everybody just goes silent. You don't get cheered. You don't get jeered. Silent. Then we have the SmackDown Women's Championship versus Charlotte Flair. It seems like every pay-per-view, Charlotte has to be wrestling against her. I don't understand it. Charlotte has to be in the main event picture for the women's title no matter what. I don't know if something's going on backstage, if that's part of her contract, or they just have that little faith in everybody else that they just keep putting Charlotte in. I don't know. I'm hoping that she wins against both. If she has to lose one, I would rather her lose to Charlotte, because Lacey Evans hasn't been on the scene long enough, and I think that would really pull Becky down to lose against somebody like Lacey Evans. So, then we have Samoa Joe versus Rey Mysterio for the U.S. Championship. That could go a couple of different ways. Okay, that could be a squash match. That could be a really good match. That match could be dropped and put on the pre-show for all we know. Okay. The cruiserweights, I haven't followed a single bit, to tell you the truth. A lot of the time when it comes to that timing, when 205 comes on, I'm already in bed because I have to be up super early in the morning. So I don't get to catch 205. But we have Tony Nese versus Araya Davari going from there. So we'll have to wait and see what that brings us. Okay. Then we get to the good ones. Okay. And they're putting these right now early, so to speak, in the pay-per-view, because we got to remember, I'm going to say this a couple of times in this. This one starts at 7 p.m. Not at 8. Starts at 7 p.m. Okay. So we run the men's Money in the Bank. Okay. Everybody's texting me now. We have the men's Money in the Bank, which is Braun Strowman versus Ricochet versus McIntyre, Corbin, Mustafa Ali, Randy Orton, Andrade, Finn Balor. Okay, a lot of big names. Okay, but only, I think they said 2, maybe 3 of them, of the men, have actually been in a Money in the Bank ladder match. Now, I see Finn Balor, Andrade, Mustafa Ali, and Ricochet being today's Hardy Boys and Edge and Christian with the whole high flyers. We're going to see a lot of them jumping probably off the top of a 15-foot ladder onto people. I'm hoping. Okay, I'm going to put my money on either Drew McIntyre or Ricochet. The way Drew McIntyre came back in his second run in WWE, they're really making him a force to be reckoned with. Ricochet is such a unique character that the fans are getting behind. I can almost see them giving it to him as well. So, those are my 2. Then we move on to the women's. Naomi, Alexa Bliss, Natalya, Dana Brooke, Bayley, Mandy Rose, Carmella, Ember Moon. I'm going to say Natalya. And I'm going to say it because of this. I'm going to say Natalya or Ember Moon. Okay. Ember Moon is one of those a real good competitor, a real good athlete, but she lies under the radar. Natalya, on the other hand, I would go with her only, and as bad as this is, only because of the Hall of Fame ceremony when the random fan attacked Bret Hart during the acceptance speech. I could almost see them doing, hey, sorry, here's Money in the Bank. You know, kind of that please don't sue us type mentality. Those are that's what I'm thinking with that. I would almost put Natalya just a little bit above Ember Moon, but I'm going to put those 2 as my 1 and 2. Then we have, hopefully this is what ends it, the steel cage match with Shane McMahon versus The Miz. I don't know how that one's going to go. I don't know how they can one-up WrestleMania because of that 12-foot, 15-foot superplex that they did. I don't know. That could go either way. And then our funny one here is Roman Reigns versus Elias. And that's actually supposed to be starting off Money in the Bank, as far as what this list says. Roman Reigns versus Elias. I think somebody's going to interfere with that, and Elias is going to win. I don't know who, but I think somebody's going to interfere with that, and will cause Elias to win. I don't think it's going to be a long match, but I think it's going to be a quicker match compared to the other ones. Okay, so there's a lineup for Money in the Bank. As we said, I mean, this is there's a lot going on, and over the next couple of weeks, we're going to see exactly in our shows where the industry is going with the indie scene, with the professional TV, because they're all professionals in my opinion. I don't want to say professionals versus indie. I want to say the indie scene, the televised scene, like that. So I hope that you guys will get a nice, refreshing evening with these shows, especially, you know, Top Rope, what we're doing. Okay. I hope that you guys really just come to like just the breakdown of everything. Okay. We get to be fans, but we also get to dissect and see what's going on. Okay. Again, it'll be inside the comments, or not the comments, into the description section. Make sure you check out charliefoxtrotradio.com for anything coming up. Okay, live shows, special guests, different shows that we're going to be doing. Make sure also, guys, that you check out heroesandlegendswrestling.com. Okay, as soon as those tickets come out, make sure that you get them. You can still, if you're within the United States, make sure you go over there. They are still selling tickets to meet Sting, among others. Make sure that you get those. Okay, if you have any questions, don't ever hesitate to send emails. If you have any questions about Heroes and Legends, if you have any questions about wrestling, period, I know for a fact Jayson Maples would have no problem answering them for you. Anything that I can answer or that I can find out, I have no problems answering. Make sure you go to the contact section at charliefoxtrotradio.com. You'll be able to see everything there. Okay? So, from all of us here, my name's Ryan. Have a wonderful night, guys.